Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode here at Tribal Trades, the daily show coming at you from the great state of Florida. And somebody heard my pleas yesterday, my petitions yesterday, and we had a day where there wasn't any or very much rain. So that was absolutely fantastic, able to enjoy a little bit of that Florida sunshine. And wherever you are tuning in from around the world, I do want to welcome you to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. And for those of you who have regulars, even from those of you who have been from the start, you know what I'm going to say to you next. Smash that like button. This helps get this content out to more people and obviously helps support the channel, and I really appreciate that. All the comments that come in here, absolutely fantastic. Thank you for that. So many words of encouragement. The kindness in this community just absolutely blows me away. And of course, all the questions, I look to get back to those as soon as I am able to. Tons of links in the description of this video, including my cheat sheet, which is my master sheet that actually has all the links that I feel are going to help this community. Okay, we're going to jump into some news and then look at the Bitcoin chart. Remember, we got the altcoin show a little bit later on in a few hours. Okay, so the low, is the low being in? Data for Bitcoin and halving years indicate that the low is in fact in, that the yen carry low from August the 5th is the floor for this long bull flag since March 2024. And so data also indicates that the average return in a halving year is about 240%. We entered 2024 at 42,000, which means that we'll exit 2024 comfortably above 100,000. And again, that's been my bull market cycle top prediction, about 102,000 or 100 to 120,000 there. And so certainly would put us up at around about that level at about 120,000. So that will be interesting. If the laws of math don't lie, it would look something like this below. And so you can see there that that possibly that low in August is, and I'll just make that a little bit bigger for everybody here. Here we go. So that's what we would be looking for there. It's got it going up to around about 140 or just under. So certainly that will be interesting if that plays out. And I do want to say this, that I very rarely, I don't ever remember speaking in certainties when it comes to price action. I always want to be very careful. And, you know, if you've watched my channel since the end of May, and we've grown very quickly, and I do appreciate that, thank you. When we had the drop in June, I used the language, the low is most likely in, or we're very close to it. That in my words, that means I think the low is in. But I'm never going to say the low is in, okay? The July drop, again, if you watch all of my videos, if you go back, I've said it's most likely the local bottom is in, or we're very close to it. Again, me saying that the low is likely in, which is my opinion, the low is in. And I said the same thing in August. I said that everybody was calling for lower prices. Everybody was calling, it's going to go drop, it's going to go deeper. And I said, I just felt the low was in, and that was going to be the local bottom, and that might end up being that 49,000, or did it just go down to 48? I can't remember. And I said it's likely in. And each time I was correct. In June, July, August, I was spot on. And then for September, I have said that I feel that the low is likely in, or we're pretty close to it. I do still stick with that. I would say this, though, on September 18th, the Fed, and you can't bet against the Fed, okay, because they have all the money and all the power. They've got the money, the almighty money printer, and they control the rates. And so I will say this, that September 18th, they're going to decide whether they're going to be a rate. They're not going to hike rates, okay, we know that. Are they going to keep rates steady? Are they going to go 50 or are they going to go 25? I don't think they're going to go 50. I think we can almost lock in 25. However, if they don't, it's possible the market could react quite negatively to that, and there could be some more downside. But I think heading up to the election coming up, I think they're wanting to do what's in the best interest of this election. So just see what happens when it shakes out there. But certainly I would say that September 6th, and if we were to go on every single other halving year, the September low was already in by the 8th. It was the 2nd, the 2nd, the 8th. And if the 6th end up being, that's over the 4 halving years, it would have been the 2nd, the 2nd, the 6th, and the 8th. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see if September ends up being the low there. Certainly in my comments, let me know if you think there will be a lower low than September 6th, or if you think that September 6th was the low for September. So I will add a little bit of caution there, that even though I say that I feel, look, if there was no Fed there or whatever, I feel that the low is in September 6th. But certainly with that rate hike or rate decision coming in September 18th, certainly I'll advise caution there that could certainly bring a lower Bitcoin price than what we saw on September the 6th. Okay, so we have some 3-day bullish divergence signals. If played out, it could send Bitcoin to 64. PPI and core PPI will be upcoming. I'm not sure that we're going to see much of a market move off those numbers. I feel that those numbers are going to be good for the market. Bitcoin bull run begins every time global liquidity increases and breaks out. A Bitcoin bull run begins, and you can see that global liquidity has had a breakout, and are we seeing a breakout here as well? Let's see what shakes out there. Bitcoin is forming a massive inverse head and shoulders pattern. The breakout is going to be explosive. It's going to be explosive, people. There you go. You can see there that it is starting to form that, and if we do break above that, that could be pretty explosive there. And then we have always the same story with Bitcoin. When everyone waits for lower targets, we leave everybody behind. And this is what I have been continually to advocate in the Discord. And if you're not part of the Discord, click on the link below. The most amazing community on the planet. Love engaging with the Discord folks. They're just incredible people. And you know, I do what I've been advocating is, if we take off, if September 6th was the low, are you going to be FOMOing in later and wishing you had bought more? I think it's important. I always have a little bit of dry powder just in case we have that final flush to the downside or more downside. But certainly I feel very comfortable if we start to go up from here, the level that I am deployed at this point. And this is why I have my cheat sheet, which is also linked below, has all the entries, all the exits. I have the stock market stuff there as well. And if you've taken some of those entries in the stock market, you'd also be up significantly. I know a couple of plays have already been able to cash out and profit there. And certainly I added some more on this latest dip. And certainly I will take some profit as that goes up. And just remember, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. Are you not entertained? Says the great Maximus Decimus Meridius, and from the movie Gladiator. And so, just keep that in mind. Just sometimes you got to ignore the FUD. And you know, when you're scared to buy, sometimes that's a good place to buy. I've found out personally. Again, this is just my own financial opinion there. Okay, we also have the golden cross and past cycles. Every time a golden cross appeared on the 2-month chart, it led to a massive Bitcoin rally. Will this time be any different? And so certainly you just see a lot of this bullish narratives for the 4-year cycle playing out. FTX will redistribute $16 billion in cash to the creditors in Q4 2024. These are people who have been sidelined since the FTX collapse. Imagine if that money part of it flows back into crypto. I think a big part of that money, if not all of that money, is going to flow. Well, not all of it, of course, but I think a large portion of that will end up flowing back into crypto. And I think that will obviously just add fuel to the fire that is already coming. And certainly people say that, can the 4-year cycle end sooner? And yes, I think it can, but I just actually don't think it will. I think it will end as it's usually ended, but it just might take some people by surprise and end a little bit earlier or end a little bit later than what people think. And either people will sell out too early, or they won't sell out early enough. And we did, this whole sell in May, go away, and everybody was thinking May, and then the market dumped in March. And so it caught people off guard. And this is why I feel it is important to be taking profits on the way up at the intervals that you have a plan. Those who fail to plan to fail, I say. And check out my Life-Changing Gains series, and I go through all my different portfolios that I have and all the plans that I have, etc. in there, and I hope that will really help you out. It's in my YouTube channel. You have to go back, but to save you the trouble, I've linked it in my cheat sheet. Under links, you can see it there, or education. I don't remember what I called it. It links education resource. I think educational resources, education, and click on there, and you can find it in there. All right, so let's jump into the charts as we close this out. But as you can see, I've actually said all along in May that Bitcoin was going to stay in this channel and eventually pop its way out sometime in the fourth quarter. And it just has. It just has. It's done exactly what I've thought and communicated that it was going to do. And you can see that within this, you can make money in a sideways, crabby, bearish trend, because you just look at buying the support and selling the resistance. Buying the support, selling the resistance, buying the support, selling the resistance, buying the support, and then we look to sell the resistance up here, rinse, repeat. And at some points that we're going to go into price discovery there, and that's where day trading and swing trading comes in certainly as well. And so, and as having the 3-tier portfolio that I teach about in my Life-Changing Gains series. Okay, so let's talk about some levels here as we wrap this up. Number one, we have the 200 EMA on the daily, sitting around about, what have we got there? Around about 59 and 300 there. And so that's going to be a very important level to break. The 50-day moving average is sitting just above it. And so now we've got all these bands clustering together and tight. And so what we're going to find here is we're going to have a hard rejection here, possibly, or we're going to absolutely bust through here with volume, explosive move to the upside to 65, where there is, again, a heavy level of resistance, because this is where we broke down from. This is also when we came up, where we had some resistance before pushing up. We came down, pushed up, came down, then broke down from there. So 65 is going to be absolutely massive. I would say initially, if we hit the 60K level, because these are merging together. Initially, I think we're going to find that we have a little bit of resistance there. But the more we bang away on it, the more we find we look to break through. Now, we banged away on it here. What was it? How many times? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then down. And then I think as we come up here again, it didn't take as many times that time to break through. And so I do feel we may not take as many bangs against it, because we already hit hard against it here and weakened it here. Could find that level. Usually it takes about seven or 8 hits of it to get through. That's generally what I've found. So will this be enough to weaken, or will we have to have a lot of testing of that level to finally push through and then retest it as support? And if you're a conservative trader, this is not a bad entry right here to get through it, retest, and then take the entry on the retest, and then off we go the races, maybe putting a stop loss just here. Of course, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Now, if we do see a rejection, look, this trend line has been quite decent support. We didn't go that low below it, and we were straight back above it fairly quickly. So that level is just down around that 56. But certainly remember, we have the CME gap sitting at around about 52,900. So around about this level from 54 to 52, there is a CME gap there. Will we see it filled sooner rather than later? And the last 6 months they've been filled sooner, but will there be a little bit of smoke and mirrors, and we think it's going to be filled sooner rather than later, and we just take off and we end up filling it much later on? Remember, there was also a CME gap at 62, and that's that hasn't been filled yet either. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming days and on the weekend as we come into the weekend trading. Let's see what shakes out there. But those are the levels to the below. Certainly, There is some strong buy orders down around this 49,900, 50,000 level up to around 51,900. There is a lot of buy orders here. And so I do feel that if we did come down and test and get that CME gap and maybe wick down below, certainly we might see a little bit of that is where a lower than September 6th could pop into play. Certainly, I'm not thinking about it going down to 42, which is where the yearly open is. But just to urge caution there, if we do come down into the 40s, then, and start to hit 47, 46, then because Bitcoin historically has liked to test the yearly open, which is down around 42,000. But certainly I'm not considering that level. I see that as the most least while it's a possible scenario, I certainly see that as the least likely scenario currently out there. Alrighty, well, we are going to wrap it up there. Remember, we have the altcoin show coming up soon. So until then, happy trading.